Hello, and welcome back to the Irish Tennis Updates podcast, and welcome back to the latest episode of the College and Pro Tennis Update. As you will hear in this episode, the season is progressing really well. The regular season is coming to an end. We're moving into conference play, which will then lead into the national championships next month. So here you can catch up on the last 2 weeks of action as we move into this next phase, and we'll be back very soon to catch up on all of the conference play. So here we go. Let's catch up on the last 2 weeks. All right, Mark.
All right.
A big thanks for joining me again today. How are things with you?
Yeah, doing good, Adam. Hope you're doing well. Been a really busy time again of the year. We'll go over with some of the players, but we've had some players just finish up their conference championship, and we'll go into a little bit about that later. So their seasons are going to be done unless they won their conference. We've got some teams that are going to be playing this weekend, and some players this weekend in their conference championships, and then there's some others that maybe might be the following weekend. So kind of coming up here on the end of the year where people are going to get crowned conference championships and move on to the national championship, or else they'll be done for the rest of the 2021 season.
Okay, so it's I guess a really kind of exciting time of the season coming towards the end of the regular season into the other bits and pieces. Where do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I guess we'll start with the men today. How does that sound?
Perfect, let's do it.
Well, okay, so yes, Thomas Brennan, and they've just finished up their regular season, so that's it for them, and they actually finished very strong with 2 wins in conference. So that sets them up now for a quarterfinal matchup in the Big East tournament. That's their conference against Creighton. So we'll see how they get on along there. Thomas did move up into the number 1 spot in the lineup there, so good to see that. Then Oisin Shaffery, another guy moving up into the 1 spot on his team this week. His team's record is 8-10, and they just won their last 2 matches. And he's moved up, as like I said, to 1 in the lineup, and he won 1, lost 1 at 1. So it's great to see him at the top of the lineup to finish off the year. I think they are going into their conference this weekend too as well. Sean Keane, not many more matches from him. Their team is ultimately finished. Their conference decided to have a shortened down conference tournament. So only, I believe, the first 4 top teams entered into that tournament for their place in the national championship. So Coker was not one of those 4 teams. So Sean did miss the last couple of matches, I think, because of being a close contact. So Matthew Saunders, then his team continues to do pretty good at Tiffin, 10-7 record right now at the moment. Matthew's still holding up that number 6 position in the lineup, and his record is 4-3 on the year. Moving on to Mark Griffin. Mark, again, mentioned playing at NEI University Marion. That team has played a ton of tennis, 16-10 overall team record. Mark continues to hold down that 3 spot and continues to win at that 3 spot too as well. First rough weekend there for Keane McDonald team. They lost their final 2 matches of the regular season against conference opponents. Their team stands at a 10-6 record right now at the moment. He's at 11-5 in singles, still a great individual record. The team was picked last to finish in their conference, a very strong conference that features 2 nationally ranked teams and a very good team in Denver and Drake. They were actually picked to finish last, but they're actually 2-2 in their conference. So they'll be having their conference tournament, I believe, this weekend. So best of luck there. Mort Stender's team has come up nicely now. They were 0-4 and had played a bunch of the top D2 schools. They actually got a win over the number 12 team in the nation, Florida Southern. Moritz has continued to play at that number 6 spot, and their team record is 3-4. Carl Butler's Gardner Webb finished off the season. They were in their conference championship. They lost in the semifinals to Radford. So they finished up their season at an 8-12 on the year. And I know that's a really young team. I think they'll be bringing back majority of the players next year for another run at it again. Christian Duffy at Stonehill College. It's been a real tough year. Their team is 1-6. Christian's been playing in that 1 spot. He's been having a tough time holding down some wins there at the 1 spot, but still very credible to be playing at number 1 position. Haven't seen the Sedukas brothers from Limestone College since the last time we talked. Their season's over. They're similar to the same conference as Coker. They did not make the conference tournament, and they finished overall with a 6-9 overall team record. Fergus O'Rourke team continues to struggle a little bit there at Spring Hill College. And they actually played at Division 1 university last week with Alabama State. Fergus has been holding in that 2 spot. and struggled a little bit at the 2 spot in the last couple of matches, especially against that Division 1 opponent. We got Morgan Lowen and still haven't seen him in the lineup. Iowa are now finished their final regular season unless they decide to bring the team back. So they'll be going into the Big Ten Conference Championship. Their team is 5-12. But ultimately, Iowa, again, they've cut their program, so they won't be back next year unless something changes there. Haven't still seen Philip Lynch in the lineup. Hope everything's okay with him. But the Sacred Heart team is 3-8. They just lost in the NEC Conference Championships, so their season is now officially done. They won their first round and then lost in the semifinals. So they're actually done for the year. Neil O'Connor from Coastal Carolina, team's 8-8 on the season. They're heading into the Sun Belt Conference Championship this weekend. And that's a very competitive conference where a lot of the teams are very, very close. Neil has played in and out at the number 6 position, more in than out. So best of luck to his team this weekend. Still no sign of Charlie Barry with an incredibly strong Tulane team. And they're 14-6 on the season. They're heading into their AAC Conference Championship this weekend. I believe they've got 6 teams, I think, inside the top 45 in the country in Division 1 in the AAC. That's the American Athletic Conference. I'm familiar with that one since Memphis is a part of that conference. So it's great to see that conference being so strong this year. An incredibly strong Tulane team. So hopefully Charlie can work away and get into that lineup next year for them. Jonathan Garcia from Merrimack, team is 3-7 on the season. Again, that Northeast seemed to be really struggling. They are playing the conference championship, I believe, this weekend. Jonathan's been playing number 3, which, I think in the past he's been playing 1 and 2 a little bit. So I think that team is getting stronger and stronger each year. The coach is doing a great job there. Finley McFadden, well, that's our first Irish player to be part of a conference winning championship team this year. So Finley is a part of the UNC Asheville. They won their conference championship. So they will be going to the national championship in a couple of weeks from now, where they will be one of the top 64 teams in the country. Finley has not played in the lineup for them. He seems like he's the next man in if somebody's not available. So congratulations to Finley and UNC Asheville. So that's it for the guys.
Great stuff. And well done to Finley and that school. Just a question before we move on to the girls is, so I guess the season's kind of coming to finishing up for all these players now. Well, what do things look like? So the season ends, maybe their team gets to conference or kind of gets out of it, or maybe they don't. Is there any kind of other individual tennis? How does the season kind of finish up and head into the summer at this point?
Yeah, so there's a couple of scenarios. Like you said, if you're UNC Asheville, you win your conference. Now they're going to have a big break in period of time here now between, say, May the 16th is the first round of the national NCAA tournament. So if you're a team, you're going to be basically, if you finish your conference now, you're going to be maybe finished with school, but it's a great time of the year. You get to practice still, you get to be on campus still, and everything's going as normal. If you're a person who's part of a team that lost in their conference championship, they're not going to be what's called an at-large bid, so they're not one of the top teams in the country. Then you maybe are ranked singles in a singles or doubles player in Division 1. Then you're still going to keep going. You're going to be playing in that individual national championship at the end of the team national championship. So you'll be still playing tennis at the end of May, right? Because I think the end of year NCAA championship finals is May the 28th. So like you already see, as some people, if you're having success, you might be playing tennis till May the 28th. Other people might be done on April the 20th. So sometimes the teams that are having success will play an extra 5 weeks worth of season of college tennis during the season.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting to hear. So I guess there will be a lot of kind of more action going on over the next while, but less than there has been to this point, maybe. So I guess this lead
up into a big week now. So the majority of conference championships are going to be this weekend. So they'll be starting on a Thursday, Friday, maybe, and then the finals will be either Saturdays and Sunday. And again, it's a knockout tournament based off how you did in the regular season. They'll seed you according to that and then basically you play a quarters or a semis to begin with, and then a finals. And then ultimately, that's when, if you win it, you get the big trophy, you get a ring. You often hear people talk about rings when they win championships. Those are the sort of things that happen once you win a championship.
Yeah, okay. So it's some exciting times, I guess, an exciting point of the season coming up. And to move on to the girls, what's the action? I guess to start with the West, what's the updates there?
Yeah, so actually a little bit less action in the West in the last 2 weeks. The Olyda twins, have played very little tennis. Probably one, I think, match. They lost a bit of a heartbreaker 4-3 to Weber State. Lola continues to really impress, has had a fantastic year. She's actually moved to 5 in the singles lineup there, and she's 10-3 in singles and 10-3 in doubles. So an incredible first year for her. Sol, her sister, continues to play 4. They actually play that match again with Shauna Casey this weekend against Sac State. So Sac State have not played at all since, I should say Sacramento State. They have not played a match in about 3 weeks. So it's been really, really quiet for Shauna, and her next match will be against the Twins. I don't think there'll be a matchup there because Shauna has been sometimes playing 4, 5, and 6. But I think she maybe we'll see if she ends up playing one of the Twins. It'll be interesting. Zara Ryan, as they've played a little bit, they actually played Shauna Heffernan's Boise State. Boise State taking that win 4-1. Zara and Shauna's match actually were the 2 matches that ended up finishing. Both girls were actually in position to win those matches for either team. Shauna did win her doubles that day, and ultimately Zara also has been winning again a reasonable amount at that number 2 spot. So their last match was a 4-3 battle over, winning against Nevada. Zara's record is an overall 10-5 right now at the moment. So well done, Zara. And then again, we talked about Shauna for Boise State. Her overall record for their team is 11-5. Shauna is 6-4 in singles and a really impressive 11-5 in doubles at number 1 position. She's done a fantastic job at that number 1 spot as a freshman. Maybe in the future that could be looking like a ranked doubles team maybe next year to begin the season. They're just coming off a really narrow, tough loss to Fresno State, and they'll be going to the conference this weekend now. Their conference is very, very competitive. Mountain West Conference. All the teams are very close, so it'll be interesting to see who's the favorite for that one. Sophia Dervin, great to see her back in the lineup. They had a great win over Utah this weekend, or last weekend, I should say, 4-3. Sophia was back in the lineup. She actually won a match 7-6 in the third set to win the team match. So that was great. Previous to that, they'd played the 2 Arizona teams, Arizona State, had losses there. So great to see Sophia back in that lineup again. She did not play against those Arizona teams. So that Utah match is the first time she's been back. Again, we talked about Shauna Casey at Sacramento State, taking a little bit of a break. Cara Courtney's San Francisco, having a good year too as well, 10-6 team record. They did lose the last 2 matches against a very good, always San Diego team and Gonzaga. Cara's continued to play at that 6th position in singles and 1 in doubles, and it's been kind of up and down. I think she's just making the best of this year considering all the adversity that she's gone through. Then moving on into the South.
Yeah.
Georgia Drummy, Duke. So overall team record of 14-5. Great to see Georgia. Actually, her national ranking last time we spoke had dropped a little bit. It's back up again. She's ranked 43 nationally in singles and 56 in doubles. And she just had a good win over the number 49 ranked player. So that should hopefully be enough to put her in that individual singles championship. So, for example, someone like a Georgia Drummy on May the 16th, she'll be starting the team national championships. Even if they don't win their conference, they'll be an at-large bid. And so she'll be playing that team individual championships. And if then she's able to then qualify all the way through the team championships at a round of 16, they go to the USTA National Center in Orlando, and they play basically the Sweet 16 there. And after that, then what will happen is once the team competition is over, they'll start the NCAA singles and doubles individual championships. So if her rankings stay the same for singles, she's definitely in. In doubles, she'll have to improve on that ranking to get an at-large bid. So she'll be hopefully playing tennis right up until the end of May. And then the equivalent of this is Jessica Lehman. Jessica Presbyterian, they just played their conference championship last weekend. They had a tough loss, 4-3, really tight one against Radford. Jessica played 3 in the lineup. They finished their season. So because they lost in their conference, they're now officially done. And their record on the year was 5-13. So a difficult year there for Presbyterian. But I think overall, Jessica finished off really strong. Ali O'D continues to get better and better as the year goes along. So she actually was conference player of the week, not this week, but the previous week for doubles. So well done. Congratulations to Ali there. And she's actually moved up to the 5 singles spot. Their team, again, is at a 16-4 team record. They play in the CAA, which is the Colonial Athletic Association Conference. This conference is a very competitive conference, and Elon will be right up there with those teams to be able to maybe hopefully win a conference championship and send her to the national championship. Anna Botel at Rice, team again, great season, 14-5. They're going to be right there with a large bid to the NCAA tournament. So even if they don't win their conference, which is the Conference USA, Anna is still 13-5 in singles in her record. And she's been playing a lot of her matches recently now at the number 5 spot again.
Yeah. It's good to hear even there just the kind of how different things are for different teams. Like certain teams will maybe be in a specific conference and have kind of one lineup of matches, and it can be very different for someone in a different school. So like the variation there can be there is interesting. And also the ranking, like how much of a jump you can see in the rankings kind of week to week is an interesting point as well. Obviously you mentioned Georgia's rankings. It's kind of an interesting point on that as well.
Yeah, that's definitely those rankings are continuously moving each week, very much based off if you have a big win or somebody else has a big win that you maybe beat, it really just jolts you up, And then again, look, you see the difference. Georgia Drummy is probably going to play 5 or 6 more weeks extra tennis this year in college than Jessica Lehman. So it is important. The more success you have as a team, as an individual, the more tennis you're going to be playing.
Yeah, and I guess maybe to move on now to look at the Northeast and the Midwest, what's the action for those schools?
Yeah, so let's start with Emily O'Donovan at Seton Hall. And again, that Northeast, we talked about all year long, having such a tricky time. They've managed to get in 8 matches. They're 1-7, and Emily's still playing in that 5 spot. I did see a couple of the lineups there this week for them. They really struggled. I don't think they were able to field 6 players because of obviously maybe something to do with close contacts with COVID, but it's been a very tricky season, but at least they've gotten to play some matches. I did see a nice picture online of them celebrating their senior year, photos and senior day is a special day in America. They honor the seniors that won't be coming back the following year. And it's usually a very special day out for those players. So at least they've gotten to finish those seniors strong, which they didn't get to do last year because of COVID and the season stopping. Haven't seen Ellie Murphy for Iowa State in the lineup. There's 12-6 currently right now at the moment, and they've lost their last 2 conference matches. But again, that conference tournament is going to be this weekend, I believe. Very, very competitive conference, the Big 12, one of the toughest conference in the whole of college tennis. Kira O'Toole, again from Sacred Heart, fantastic. Seems like again she's found herself a great new spot. The team's record is now 5-6. And they're 4-2 in conference, which in their regular season. They've lost their 4-3 in their last 2 matches. Kira was able to win one of those 2 singles matches in those tough 4-3 losses. But it's great to see them being competitive and hopefully they're competitive in their conference this weekend or next weekend. I'm not too sure about that one. Julie Byrne actually had a tough week. They lost 2 4-3 battles at Northwestern to 2 very good conference teams, Illinois and Michigan, I believe. Julie had been winning her doubles, but had struggled in that single spot, the number 2 position in those 2 matches. Those were 2 4-3 battles, but still, again, they'll be in a large bid into the NCAA team tournament, regardless if they win their conference. And so they'll start their conference championship this weekend. I believe they're one of the top seeds. I haven't seen Jenny Timmonton, Michigan State in the lineup. That's another very competitive conference. I'm not sure exactly what their ranking will be going into the conference, but I know they're going to be one of the seeds at close to the bottom because of their record. So, for example, that sort of conference, because there's a lot of teams in it, they might actually even be playing a round of 16 conference match where they've got to qualify to get into the quarterfinals. So it's I think there's 12 or 13 teams in the female side on that draw. Yeah. Lucy Octave, great to see her back in the lineup. So the team is having a phenomenal year. They're the number 1 seed in their conference tournament going into it. So they have a real legit chance of going to the NCAA tournament this year. It's great to see her back. She's in the 5, playing that 5 singles and winning, and 3 doubles and winning. So I can only think that, it's been a tough year for her, maybe with something to do with injuries or something like that. And now she's getting back into the swing of things as well. It's great to see another person back in the lineup, Laura Fitzgerald, playing back at the number 6 in the lineup again from singles. They've actually gone undefeated in their conference play, winning their last 3 matches. And their record is 17-7. So they're going into their conference with a legit chance of winning their conference too as well. So best of luck to them. Can move on to Division 2 and NAIA if we want, Adam.
Yeah, and just a quick question before you do. So in terms of conference championships, it's only the winner that then progresses to NCAA, or is it possibly like two teams or something like that?
So if you're in a really, really strong conference, and you don't win your conference again, you'll be considered a large bid into the NCAA tournament. So I forget exactly how many conferences are in Division One. I think there's somewhere between 22 and 24. So typically you're looking at, there's about 43, 44, 45 at large bids. So for example, some of the strongest teams might be sending 8 or 9 teams to the NCAA championship first rounds, because those teams are ranked inside the top 42 teams in the country.
Yeah.
So absolutely, you can have multiple conference teams, and obviously then some of the weaker conferences, they're sending their national their conference champion then, because every conference get an automatic bid into the tournament.
Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting one. And I guess, to move on to Division 2 and NAIA, what has been going on there?
Yeah, so this has been a little bit of an unfortunate one. The McCulloch twins, they had a tough loss in the semifinals of their conference, but I didn't see Annie in that conference semifinals, which would have been her last match of the year representing her Tusculum University. So I can only think that something must have happened again, something with close contacts, or not being able to play her final year. So really tough, and I'm really sorry, because it's not the way you'd want to go out. And they had a very competitive team all year. Emer Mars team, and Emer's doing great. Their team record is 8-6. They're 4-6 in record in their regular season conference. I think their conference championship happens this weekend. Emer's actually even moved up to the number 1 single spot in the lineup, and she's struggled a little bit after moving up to the number 1 spot. But still, her overall record is 7-7 in singles and 10-2 in doubles. So a great start for her at Barton College, and best of luck to them. Incredible again. We talk about NAI having so many opportunities by so many matches. Emily Connolly's Indiana Wesleyan, a 31-4 record. So this is what's incredible, Adam. Seton Hall have played 8 matches. Emily Connolly's Indiana Wesleyan have played 35 matches. So, they've actually moved up to number 4 in the nation nationally. And they had a great win against the number 3 in the nation, Emily winning her match, which clinched it, I believe, at the number 6 single spot. And so that was great for her. And she's been playing predominantly at the number 3 doubles too as well position. So well done, Emily. And then we can talk about the coaches too as well, because there's a real interesting one here too as well, Adam.
Yeah.
So Derek Lavin, again, congratulations. Their team is actually on a pretty good run right now. They're right on basically what they call the bubble. So their team is right in that 40s range. So, that's a team who's going to have a really tough time winning their conference, because some of the best teams in their conference are the number 1 and 2 or 3 teams in the country. Okay. So, but they're in the 40s. So they're in the bubble. So if they've got one more good win in their conference tournament, they don't have to win the conference tournament. If they get one good win, they'll vault themselves hopefully into the NCAA as an at-large team. So best of luck to Darren his first year and making the NCAA tournament. And a really interesting one here is Peter Wright's Cal Berkeley. They have not played anymore. And I do not see them down to play in the Pac-12 tournament. It seems like they might have just decided that the season's over for them, and that they're going to they're just going to not take part in the conference tournament. So the Pac-12 has definitely been impacted this year. A lot of traditionally the Pac-12 teams would have been inside the top 40. A few of them are still in there, but a lot of them have struggled to play enough matches to get the rankings up into the top 40. And that's something that is at the discretion of them picking the best top 64 teams. If some team doesn't have enough wins on record because they didn't play enough matches, they can take that into consideration when they're picking the at-large bids. And Peter Fleming's Montana, again, where Oisin is their team's 8-10. We went over that. They've just won their last 2 matches, and they actually got their last match cancelled with COVID too as well. So well done, Peter, on your first year as being a volunteer coach at Montana.
Great stuff. And obviously, as you said there, especially for Emily and Indiana getting all those matches, it's great to see that and see so much action throughout the year.
Well, I was going to say, and this is my fault on this one, because I've missed on this one the whole year, but this one caught me off guard. So former Texas Tech student athlete Bjorn Thompson, who's played Davis Cup for us, I did not realize, but he came back for his senior year and for his extra 5th year, and is now playing with the Texas A&M. And he's having a great year, especially in doubles. The last time I checked, his doubles ranking, I think, was top 10 in the country in doubles. So well done, Bjorn Thompson. And I apologize profusely for missing you these last couple of weeks. And he's been playing a little bit in and out of the lineup at number 6 in singles. Bjorn is one of those guys who's had a lot of battles with a lot of injuries, and is an incredible athlete. And I know he's represented Ireland very well in Davis Cup. So well done to you, Bjorn, and apologize if you're listening to this that I've missed you these last couple of weeks.
Okay, that's a good one, and good that he's getting on very well, and especially in the doubles, as you say. I'll just come on for fly through a couple of updates on the pro side. There's been quite a bit of action the last couple of weeks. Oscar O'Husheen, Dan O'Neill, Cian Maguire, Dorian Koss, Amar Elamine, Preston Connor, Carola Bejanara, all playing futures kind of qualifying action over the last couple of weeks. And I guess the highlight there was Carola reaching a round of 16 in Tunisia, and also a double semi-final the following week. So some good success for Carola. And also some action for Celine Simoniou, again in this time playing a grade 3 ITF junior event in Tunisia. She reached the semi-finals in singles and the doubles quarterfinal. And just an interesting point in that tournament, they were using fast 4 scoring for the last few rounds of the competition. So I don't know if that was to do with a kind of scheduling issue. I think it was a bit of delays kind of early in the week. Maybe there was weather issues or something like that. But the last few rounds, she was playing fast 4 sets. So an interesting one to see there. But good to see some good success for Celine there. So yeah, that's pretty much all the updates there.
Yeah, that's fantastic to see her taking that next step into the group trees and having some success there. That'll really boost her ITF junior ranking. So well done.
Yeah, and Celine back in action this week in Spain. So keeping it going. So all the best of luck to Celine for this week as well.
Great.
A big thanks again to Mark Finnegan for his time for the updates. And thank you for listening to this episode. If you did enjoy it, please do consider sharing it around so that we can get the word to as many people about all of the great tennis action that is going on at the moment. Until next time, I've been Adam, and goodbye.